And we are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bigfoot Odyssey's Researchers Reports. I'm Kerry. With me, as always, producer and co-host of the report, Miss Daniela Iolo. How are you, dear?
I'm good, thank you. Looking forward to tonight.
Yes, excellent show. I think we're going to have planned for you guys. 2 hour minimum, at least 2 hours. We may run over. Daniela may leave us and go to bed later, but we'll see how she feels about it. I will say this, with it being a 2 hour show, first hour, we're going to take about a 5-minute intermission so people can get something to drink, pee. And so we are going to take a 5-minute break in between first hour. If we go another one, then we'll take another one there. But before we get started, our guest for this evening, Dr. Matthew Johnson. He is a clinical psychologist. He is an author, authored several books, creator of Squatching USA on YouTube. But before we bring him in, just want to make sure that everybody knows this is going to be a respectful conversation, questions. We've had some issues with moderating here recently. And I just want to say this. We don't just choose our moderators on a whim. We choose people that we believe are going to protect the integrity of Bigfoot Odyssey. Now, we don't allow vulgarity, but that doesn't mean someone can't say, hey, that would have scared the poop out of me, and use the little poop emoji, or even say poop. That's not vulgarity. There's a line here, especially for our regulars. You guys know who's here regularly. And we want you to have your opinion. If your opinion is, hey, I like the show better when Kerry's not here, that's your opinion. There's no reason for anybody to say anything to you or, to remove your comment. So we're just going to be respectful to Dr. Johnson. If you have your questions, we're going to give a specific time for those questions. Again, make sure that you put all your questions in all caps. Makes it a lot easier for us to see. Excuse me, because there's probably going to be a lot of people here, and the chat's going to be moving along. So it'll be easier for us to see your questions when it's time for them, to put them all in caps. So we appreciate that. So, all right, without any further ado, Dr. J, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Hello, Kerry. Hello, Daniela, my bad. So thanks for having me on.
Man, it's great to have you here. And I know you're on vacation and you're taking your time out of that. It means a lot to us that you sacrifice that much time. You and Cindy are there, I imagine, by yourselves, correct?
Well, we're here with my son, Grady, age 13, okay, and his friend, Cameron. So 4 of us here enjoying the lake house in Montana.
Awesome. Well, again, we appreciate you taking time out of that to sit here and talk Bigfoot stuff with us. Now, we're just going to go straight into this, but I kind of want to keep it chronological if we can. So I want to talk a little bit about when I had my experience. I looked into Bigfoot. One of the first things I saw was psychologist Dr. Matthew Johnson has experience with his family in a national park in Oregon. And I'd probably seen it 20 or 30 times. And I heard you talk about it and everything. What about before then? What were your views on this creature? Did you believe in it, stock in it at all before you actually saw it?
Okay, well, first of all, I grew up in Oregon and then moved to Anchorage, Alaska in 1980 on a basketball scholarship to the University of Alaska. And so I spent 20 years as a resident in Alaska, fishing, camping, a little bit of hunting, a whole lot of hiking. Very familiar with the outdoors and wild animals. Got chased by a grizzly bear. Chased a black jet wolf on my snow machine across a frozen lake. So I love the outdoors. And then the incident happened that you're referring to on July 1st of 2000 at the Oregon Caves National Monument Park. What were my thoughts about Bigfoot before then? Nothing. Myth and legend. I wasn't thinking about Bigfoot when we were doing a hike.
Well, growing up in Oregon, there's a Bigfoot behind every tree in Oregon. If you ask most people from around there, at least to my experience. So, I mean, it at least had to be on your radar. But
on my radar in the 6th grade, checked out a book at the school library and read about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, ghost, UFOs, stuff like that. But that was about it. I wasn't some big Bigfoot fan and everything is Bigfoot.
Right. No, I got you. I could probably say I was exactly the same way. I can't tell you beforehand. Now, you have your experience. And then you kind of get into researching in a conventional manner, I would say, the way most people do, that are beginning to research. They aren't thinking anything outside of, this is a natural creature in the woods. I've seen it. I know it's out here. Let's see if we can get in contact with it. You kind of went that route for a long time, didn't you? Did you do that initially, or did you wait a while?
I was scared to death when the incident happened. If you saw the interviews on TV,
I did.
And I was like on 15 different TV shows, I was very emotional during the interviews because I was traumatized by the event. For the first month, I had nightmares every night of my family being ripped apart by Bigfoot up on the mountain. I have to say, by the way, that was created in my own head because I didn't know, who they were, what they were, etc. I just knew I was afraid. I created the trauma in my head. I created the fear in my head. In reality, all he was doing was watching my family. There was nothing life-threatening. There were no aggressive moves. Nothing. I created it in my head. But I wasn't going to let that scare me from going back into the woods. Some people have an encounter with Bigfoot and they don't go back. I've met a lot of people like that.
I'm talking to one.
I wasn't going to let that happen to me. So I was going to get back up on the horse, get out there. I was going to go into the woods, grab Bigfoot by the scruff of the neck, drag him out, and point to the world, here he is. I'm not crazy. Bigfoot's real. And so that's the approach I took.
Okay.
And yes, 10 years. I spent the first 10 years doing the conventional old school approach to research. Matt Moneymaker with the BFRO took me under his wing and took care of me and educated me about how to go about doing it with cameras and blasting out cries and all this kind of stuff, night vision equipment. And I had all this group and we were collecting data and evidence. And so I did that for 10 years. We got lots of foot cast. We would get some tree knocks back, some yells back, some visuals on the perimeter. But that was it, 10 years of doing that. And then I realized I started doing more reading, more research, and I realized that there were other people out there doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Peter Byrne, 50 years, never saw one. And I began to realize that 10 years, and all I get is foot casts and tree knocks and some distant visuals. I want more than that. I wanted up close personal interactions. So I decided to change my approach.
And apparently this has worked for you. What was it that happened? What was the first thing that happened that made you realize that there was really something a lot deeper going on here?
Well, I'm a psychologist, and by training and by nature, I'm a problem solver. And I decided I didn't want to do the same thing for the next 40 years to equal Peter Byrne's 50 years and have nothing to show for it. I wanted up close and personal interaction. So I decided to adopt some of Dr. Jane Goodall's habituation approach with chimpanzees to get out there, because my theoretical view, which most people have when they enter the field for whatever reason that motivates them to enter the field, I bought into the theoretical belief that Bigfoot is a descendant of Gigantopithecus, which they have a fossil record for in a cave in China. Turns out the fossil record is one tooth, one tooth. And they build a big boogeyman, Bigfoot, Gigantopithecus out of one tooth. And I'm like, after 10 years of this, nobody's bringing Bigfoot into the world. And, here it is. Nobody's got a body. Nobody's got anything. I decided, you know what? I want to change the approach, do the habituation approach, and adopt the North American Indian theoretical belief that they're sentient beings, they're intelligent people, forest people, not a dumb giant mountain ape, and go out there with that belief in mind, which influences how you approach them and how you behave around them and how you try to interact with them. And that changed everything. Things just took off exponentially after that.
Well, that's pretty much what we believe here. Is it's almost obvious that it has to be something like that because they do exist. We know they exist, and why all these questions we have don't have good answers for them. The only possible explanation is that these are intelligent creatures. They don't leave their dead bodies around for us to find. They're going to hide from us continuously. That's why we don't have the best images. Of course, you have other information on that, but we feel the same way. This is a type of person, type of forest people. They're intelligent, but it's the supernatural energy aspect of this that I have trouble grasping with, and a lot of people do. And this is what we're here to discuss: is how did you figure all these things out? What was it? Was there a linchpin in there that made you realize, oh, this is what's happening here?
Well, first of all, again, getting back to old school versus habituation, I would throw the food out on the ground with cameras pointed at the bait piles. And you do bait piles to bait a dumb, stupid, giant mountain ape in, right? So, or other animals, which isn't usually legal. But anyway, that's a bait pile. You're baiting it to come in. That didn't work. And I put food out in soya for 4 years. They wouldn't touch it because the cameras were on it. You take the cameras and turn them off and the infrared light is off, then they hit the bait piles. You turn the infrared light back on and then they stay away. And you can see where their tracks approach. They see the infrared light and then they go away. So saw that numerous times. So then I changed my theoretical orientation. They're not a dumb giant mountain ape. They're a forest person. So I would put the food in a large stainless steel dog food bowl, 2 of them, and put the bowls out about 150 feet away from the base camp so they don't have to worry about me trying to sneak up on them. Did that for a year. They still didn't take the food. But then eventually, noticing the change in my behaviors and my attitude, they started taking the food. And when they started taking the food, they didn't, bam, hit the bowls and scatter everything everywhere and make a big mess inside the bowls and outside the bowls like a critter would do, an opportunistic critter would do. They were very selective, and they'd take a little piece of this and a little piece of that, and they would leave everything else there. No critter out there would leave everything else there. Sometimes they'd take a bite and put it back in the bowl. No critter would do that. And we always left an egg carton out there with the lid open with 12 eggs, a dozen eggs, as a control variable, because if critters were out there, raccoons or whatever, they'd hit the bloody eggs. They're not leaving the eggs alone.
Right.
And the eggs were never touched, except one time, 2 eggs were taken, cracked in half like you would crack an egg in half while you're frying eggs in a frying pan, and the yolk was consumed. And then one half of the eggshell was put in the other half of the eggshell, and then both of those were put back in the carton. No critter would do that.
No, not likely.
So things just took off from there.
So you pretty much developed a level of trust, and that's what this is all about to me. There's a level of trust there that you had to earn with these beings.
Yeah, it was me developing their trust, and I went out there with the attitude, Dr. Jane Goodall developing the trust with the chimps, right? But when I look back 2020 hindsight after all these years, they actually used the habituation process to develop my trust in them.
Okay.
To deal with my fears. I was doing stuff out there that other people would say, man, you got balls of steel. I could never do that.
Well, that's a real thing, isn't it? Because I think they have to know that they scare us. you know, at a primal level.
But they don't want to.
Whether they want to or not, I think they still scare us.
They don't want to.
So you're saying that's the idea, is they kind of pad the interaction, earning your trust in them, because obviously
they let me think I was in charge. They let me pace the process. But eventually it became clear to me that they were in control of the habituation process, not me.
Okay, so you're starting to gain their trust. Okay, what happens next? They start to actually speak to you, right?
Yeah, what happens next is I started taking out, I got rid of all my invasive technology, got rid of the trail cams and the night vision and the thermal imaging and the seismic sensors, got rid of all the invasive technology that you put out there in the field outside the base camp, trying to record them, capture them, trick them. I got rid of that. And I switched over to a passive technology of using a bionic ear dish and with a Sony digital recorder, which was placed on top of my vehicle in the base camp, and it could record up to a football field away. And I started trying to record audio, but it's very passive. It's not all outside the base camp, all up in their face. It's passive equipment, passive technology in the base camp on top of the vehicle, pointed in the direction. And I got my first audio recording, which just blew my mind. Spoken language that sounded like a North American Indian dialect. Matter of fact, I ran it by a friend who grew up in the Klamath Indian tribe in Southern Oregon, and she said the word that was being used is similar to their word for urination. And the reason why I believe they were using that word was because Grady at that time was about 5 years old. And we were in the tent, and he woke me up and said, "Daddy, I need to go potty." And, it was morning time, the sun was up. So I said, "Go ahead, go outside." So he unzipped the tent. He goes outside. He comes back in a minute later and says, "Daddy, I can't lift the water jug for the porta potty." And silly me. It's a 5-gallon water jug. He's only 5. He's not going to lift that up. So I said, "Okay, I'll be out there." So he goes out again. Well, I record all night long. So I record for 8-10 hours. That means for every night I spend out there, I have to come back home and listen to 8 to 10 hours every second of the audio for every night I'm out there. So I came back home and listened to the audio, and both times he came out of the tent to go to the bathroom, this adolescent Bigfoot on the perimeter of the tent whispered "Ego Y8." That would be recording, I believe, number 2, if you could play that. And I have it looped 3 times. So it's going to say "Ego Y8" 3 times.
You slow that down?
Do you want to play it again?
Yes, please. So Ego Y8 is a word for urination. And that blew my mind. I've never recorded spoken language. I had been out there for 12 years. And the first 10 doing old school approach, and then the next 2 doing habituation. And I recorded freaking spoken language. It was like, yes, they are forest people. They're not dumb giant mountain apes. And it wasn't the language, that we're all used to hearing with, I might add, the awesome recordings that Ron Moorhead did in the Sierras back in the 70s. Samurai chatter. This was North American Indian dialect.
We recorded the exact same thing accidentally. When we were in Omaha, Nebraska, I recorded a full sentence. But the strange thing is the way you hear it. I was using a Rode NGT1 mic, just like this one, on my camera, going through the woods. And when I was going back through the footage, I could hear this voice, and it was a full sentence. And I can tell you what it says right now. It said Navagata Gabi Sheo Iho. And but it sounded like it was in a Pringles can far away.
Mm-hmm.
And you could hear, a mouse poot, with this microphone. So it was no one around us. It was only 4 people there anyway, and no one was talking. So Barry, the only one that speaks Native American, says he recognizes some of the language. Well, we were there putting the old Scott Carpenter backwards tape on a tree with bacon grease for a hair trap. So Sheo means to shed hair. Gata means lanolin or grease. So they knew exactly what we were doing. It was such a revelation to me that we captured that. But what I don't understand is why the Native American language? Is it just because that's the language they were taught or picked up before we ever came along?
Okay, well, before the show is over and we play all the audio recordings that I've presented to you, you're going to realize that they can speak every language on the planet. Okay. Alex Menez down in Georgia has them recorded conversing with him out in the woods in Spanish. Okay.
Wow.
So there's more to it, and as we get through the recordings, you'll learn some more. The next one, actually probably the next 2, are, I believe, Chatty Cathy, a younger female forest person on the perimeter. She just blah, 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 blah. So we nicknamed her Chatty Cathy. And so go ahead and play the next audio. This also was pretty cool. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you stop it for a sec?
Yeah.
So this is Chatty Cathy, and we're sleeping. My friend Johnny Manson and I, December of 2013, we're sleeping at Soya. It's 20 degrees outside. That's how committed we are. There's icicles hanging from the trees. And we're up and we go, "What's your name? Tell us your name." And then we go to bed and we're sleeping. So you're going to hear us sleeping, breathing heavy. And she comes up to the foot of Johnny's cot and she tells us her name, Nipkia. Go ahead.
It's a very feminine sounding voice.
Yeah, that's her name, Nipkia. Was that number 3, Daniela?
Yeah.
Can you play number 4, which is also Chatty Cathy? Oh, stop. Sorry. That is not Chatty Cathy.
There's two called 3, named 3. Is that right?
Huh?
There's 2 I've got 2, 3. I thought I might have downloaded it twice, but I don't think I did. So maybe that's the next one you want.
Try the other one.
Well, we can give it a try. Nope, that's the same one. So this next one, the number, I believe 4, I told you we're up there. It's 20 degrees. We get up in the morning. We have a no lights policy, no flashlights, no lanterns, no campfires, even if it's 20 degrees. That's how committed we are. No light. Up there in the pitch dark of night. We wake up in the morning. We go retrieve the gifting bowls, bring them back to base camp. And we are so cold that I could barely get the keys out of my pocket and unlock the Suburban. We get inside the Suburban and I start the engine to blow the heat onto us so we don't freeze to death. And the parabolic microphone dish is on top of the Suburban. And we're recording while we're in the car warming up. And the adolescent Sasquatch is concerned that I'm going to leave. And so he's saying my name, Matt, 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 3 times. And I've looped it 3 times. So he only does the Matt, Matt, Matt once, but I looped it 3 times. So now I'm blown away that they know my name, but the reason why is because when we're up in the dark every night, I'd stand at the perimeter and I'd go, my name is Matt. My name is Matt. Matt. And I would have all my guests go up there and say their names. And so
how do you know
said
at this point it's an adolescent?
The adult male voices.
Yeah, when you said that was
deeper,
the
rowdy.
Okay.
And just a deeper masculine male voice when you have them recorded.
I got to be honest with you, Doc. That's it's creepy. Creepy.
Well, I thought it was pretty cool. Like they're finally getting my name and saying my name.
Well, you're out there looking for them. That's something I would never do. So that's how I feel about it. That's all. All right, continue. What we got?
Let's go ahead and do the next audio.
Okay. Whispering juvenile Bigfoot.
Okay, so this is Chatty Cathy.
Okay.
So that's Chatty Cathy. We have a bazillion audio recordings of her on the edge of the perimeter. What's the next one say?
What do you think she was saying there? Have you not been able to work that
out?
No
idea. It's that language I call Squatchanese.
Okay.
Okay, that's their language, but they can speak other languages, but I don't have them recorded speaking other languages until a few years later.
Okay. The next one's Look at That with Matt.
No, that's later on. Do we have like number 5 or 6?
That was number 6. That was number 6.
Look at That with Matt is number 6.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't want that one yet. What's next?
Oh, for some reason, 6. Some of them won't download. Oh, hang on. Right, I've got it now.
That one we just played.
Yeah, we just played that.
Okay, sorry. Right, I'm with it now. I'll have to play it straight from the email because I can't. Hopefully.
There we go. Go ahead and stop that. I'll provide context for this.
Okay.
So this is in June of 2014, and I'm up at the Southern Oregon Habituation Area, otherwise known as SOA, with Adam Davies and John Carlson. And also my son Grady came up. And we had some interesting experiences up there, which we can talk about if you'd like to. But to frame this recording, it was a long night. Everybody was tired. And we got up and retrieved the gifting bowls, brought them back to camp, put them on the table. The parabolic microphone dish was on the table. And we climbed back into our sleeping bags and went back to sleep. Next to the parabolic microphone dish on the table was a box of 4 Cinnabon rolls. And the game plan was when we woke up after our nap, we were going to get up and the 4 of us were going to enjoy those Cinnabon rolls. Well, we woke up, went to the table, the box was there, the lid was down, open up the lid, the 4 Cinnabon rolls are gone. They're gone. Now, what little critter would come to the table, open up the box, the Cinnabon rolls, take 4 Cinnabon rolls, close the lid, and leave the lid on the table, or the box on the table? So I went home after this whole experience because there was a whole lot to listen to during those 4 nights. And I caught them. There were a few of them, 3 or 4 of them at the table with the Cinnabon rolls. So that's what this recording is about. And I believe this one's looped twice.
Okay.
You can turn it up. Can you turn it up a little bit? out what A'ade Welu means? It means score. We got the Cinnabon rolls.
Fair enough. So that's what that was then. That what we were just hearing.
Yeah, that they got the Cinnabon rolls. Yes, and they were pretty happy about it. Turns out, by the way, with all the years of leaving food in the gifting bowls, and I left a ton of stuff over the years, meat, vegetables, fruit, that this particular family group only took the bread products. Because they could get everything else out in the wild. They could get meat out there, vegetables and fruit, but they couldn't get bread products. So they loved peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, but this particular group would not take crunchy peanut butter. They only took creamy peanut butter. They would not take white bread. They only wanted wheat bread. They wouldn't take any other jam besides raspberry jam. And they loved the bagels, cheese bread, donuts, cake, cookies, crackers. They liked the bread products.
More finicky than my wife is.
They can't get bread products out in the wild.
No.
But they were still strangely specific about it. You know, no white bread. I mean,
yeah.
What's that about?
Yeah.
What we got next?
Number 8. Yes, right here.
Okay, so this, yes, right here beside you, is in November of 2015. In the previous month, in October of 2015, I went up to SOA with Andrea Billups. And Andrea is a journalist. She's done work with a lot of major publications and outfits, and she's the head of NPR in West Virginia now. So she's taught journalism at the University of Florida and other university settings. So I took Andrea up there in October of 2015, and we had 2 of them standing 6 feet away from us at the 12 o'clock position on the perimeter. We had all kinds of experiences. Well, I ended up taking her to the Medford airport so she could go back home in time to teach at that time at the University of Florida. And I went back up to SOA for one more night all by myself. And every time I was up there, I said, can you give me a teacher? I want a teacher. I want to learn more. Can you provide me with a teacher? I want a teacher. Well, I got this real strong mind speak telepathy. And the telepathy said, you're our teacher. That's why we bring our kids to you on the perimeter, so they can learn from you. And we have given you a guardian. Well, during that time when Andrea and I were up there, one of the nights was going to be possibly rainy, so we're sleeping on our cots, and we have a tarp halfway up the cots to our waist in case it started raining. We could pull the tarps up over our heads because we weren't sleeping in a tent or a camper. We're sleeping out under the stars. So the tarp is by our waist. Well, when I sleep, I have my hoodie up and a t-shirt over my eyes, and I could start to feel the raindrops on my skin, but I'm still covered. And then all of a sudden the tarp gets one tug up to the shoulders, the next tug to my head, and the third tug all the way to the ground. And I go, Andrea, did you just pull the tarp over our heads? No response. Andrea, did you just pull the tarp over our heads? No response. I reach over to her cot, and I can't feel her or find her, and I'm like, oh crap. So then I'm thinking, oh, she's sitting on the porta potty behind the cots and is too embarrassed to tell me. So I turn my head to see if she's on the porta potty. She's not there, and now I'm really freaking. Now I'm seeing myself in my head talking with the Josephine County Sheriff Department, telling them I didn't bury a body anywhere. And I yell, Andrea, and then this little voice comes from the bottom of her sleeping bag. She's a short gal. Yes, Matt. I said, did you just pull the tarp over us? And she said, no, I just woke up. My guardian, Seska, pulled it 1 to the shoulders, 2 to the head, 3 to the ground. So anyway, the following month, November of 2015, I'm up there with Mike Kincaid, one of my research buddies, and he got healed. His leg and his arm got healed when we were up there. They worked on him the previous night. And I'm laying with my head on my cot, on my pillow, and I'm facing the truck, probably about 6 feet away from the truck, and the parabolic microphone dish is on top of the truck. And I can hear Seska, my guardian, at the head of my cot, and I can hear his feet shifting and hear him breathing. So I know he's there, but again, hoodie up, t-shirt over my eyes. And I wake up around 4 a.m. and I ask him in my mind, not with my mouth, with my mind, are you still there? Well, he didn't respond back telepathically, mind speak. He instead intentionally walked between me and the truck, leaned over, and whispered in, or said in my ear, vocally, verbally, yes, right here beside you.
Mm.
So now you get to hear this. This isn't as clear as some of the other audio, but you're going to hear the syllables, yes, right here beside you.
Okay.
I could tell what it was. Since you told me what it was, I could tell that's...
Yes, right here beside you. And that blew my mind, because what that told me is this telepathy thing works. Because I didn't ask him with my mouth. I asked him with my mind. And he didn't respond back with his mind. He knew I was recording, and he intentionally walked between me and the truck and said it audibly so I would know he responded, he heard me, and so it would be recorded. That was all intentional.
Now, real quick, you and I talked about this on the phone briefly, about, you know, the mind speak, the telepathy, whatever you want to call it. That's been a thing for a long time before Bigfoot ever got popular, was telepathy. You know, the government, they did lots of experiments with it, had plenty of people that worked for CIA that could do this stuff. Why is it that some people can hear these things and some can't? You told me this, but I want everybody else to hear that.
My response over the phone was that we're all wired differently.
Right.
And if you know, not everybody is a reader of the Bible, but if you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, it talks about the body of Christ, the church, and it talks about how everybody is gifted differently. And that is my belief, and I think it's pretty accurate, that we're just simply all gifted differently, and some people are able to engage in mind speaker telepathy and others aren't. It doesn't make anybody worse or better than anybody else, you know, good, bad, right, wrong. It just is what it is. We're just wired differently.
What we got next?
Zorf says, hail to my son.
Okay, so now I'm up at Soya. The trolls crash SOA in December, at the end of December of 2015. And Cynthia and I feel like we just got our gut kicked in. But the Jeanu, by this time, Zorth, the Bigfoot Forest people refer to themselves as the Jeanu. Okay, so they moved us to a new location. So we've spent time up there. We've done the Exodus, helping bring 23,542 souls over to the earth, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm up there and I forget the parabolic microphone dish, so I have the recorder on my cot by my pillow as I'm sleeping during the night, and I go home after it's all over with and listen to the audio. Excuse me. And I hear "Hail" to my son, and I'm like, "What's going on with Mogdu?" That's his oldest son. And he goes, "It's not about Mogdu. It's about you." And I go, "What?" And I go, "You and my mom didn't, you know." Like, he goes, No. He goes, "I adopted you. We had an adoption ceremony for you, and "Hail" to my son was to seal the adoption ceremony," which I know sounds crazy, but that's the context. So now you get to listen to "Hail" to my son, and Daniela, you'll hear the deeper, masculine, gruffy male voice.
Okay.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the ability to, that one's not looped, but that's "Hail" to my son. If I don't know if you have the ability to isolate that and loop it a couple times.
I'll just play it again and again a couple of times.
I heard it.
Okay, so "Hail" to my son, deeper, raspier, growlier, masculine voice, as opposed to the adolescent voice I was referring to earlier.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hear that. The
Yeah, I heard it.
The Bigfoot screaming backyard.
Okay, so after the Exodus occurred, myself, Mike Kincaid, Steve Bachman. Steve Bachman is the creator of the electromagnetic pulsating device that we used during the Exodus. And Cynthia and Grady were all given Guardians for Life in appreciation for our roles in helping them with the Exodus. And on top of that, Zorth in the Council of 12 asked me to, because by that time I was just like 16 years of this. The Exodus is over. The next morning I'm very emotional and I'm crying, and I said, I'm done now, right? I'm done. And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm this compulsion to be out here to keep coming after you guys to learn. I'm done. I can walk away now." And he said, "Yeah, you're done, but the Council of 12 would like you to remain on board as our ambassador, the 13, and to educate others about the Jeanu." And so I said, okay, I would. And there's an interesting story about that whole 13 that we'll get into later. But later on, many months later, you know, Cynthia and I were living in Puyallup, South Hill, Washington, very crowded area outside of Tacoma, Washington. And we wanted to live more rural. So Zorth said, "When you find your new home, I'll have a family there waiting for you." And sure enough, as soon as we found our new home, there was a family waiting there for us. They had to move 12 miles to be there. And then 7 other families moved in for a total of 8 families. But what you're about to hear was recorded during the first summer of, we were there 2018 in our backyard. We live on a mountaintop, 10 acres of forest. It slopes down to the wetlands below, and then across the wetlands on the other side are 500,000 acres of Weyerhaeuser timber property.
Okay.
So we're in the middle of nowhere. So we recorded this July of 2018 in our backyard.
This isn't looped either, but I'll just play it a few times.
Yep, time to go.
No. That was majorly freaking awesome and cool. Not time to go. I want more. Now, there's another one that we also recorded. It should say melodic scream or something like that.
Yeah.
That was also recorded the same summer. So that was Saria on the slope of the Weyerhaeuser timber property on the other side of the wetlands. And that was her husband, Cantu, on our slope, our property, responding back to her. Can you play that again and a little louder?
Yeah.
So is that the purpose for this? Is just, hey, I'm right here?
They, believe it or not, give me evidence so I can turn around and present it to everybody else, to let everybody else know that they're on our property, they're there, what I'm saying is real, legit, etc.
Yeah, this is you know, the subject's hard enough to believe, and you have to admit some of these things that you're talking about here are going to be hard for anybody to grasp a hold of, you know,
Yep.
especially someone that doesn't even look into the subject of Bigfoot. So this is how you convince these people of this. You know, the physical
Evidence.
stuff not so hard. You know, the physical stuff fine. It's this other stuff. You know, the mind speak, which I'm fully open to the whole mind speak thing. That's actually, you know, plausible, scientifically proven, you know, can be proven scientifically how this happens. It's the portal stuff that how are you going to convince people of this?
Well, first of all, a shout out to Thomas Potter for talking me into coming on your show.
Yep.
So thanks, Thomas Potter.
Sorry, I didn't get back to you.
Yeah. He and I were talking about Adam Davies, John Carlson being at SOA, and he was saying, Matt, you're not taking enough credit for the portal at SOA. And I'm like, well, that's because I didn't discover it. I didn't. I had been up there for 8 years. 8 years. And I'd be sitting in base camp facing the 12 o'clock position on the perimeter. And at the top of the trees for 8 years, I would see a light flash. Boom, like almost like a lightning strike. And earlier on, I would turn around because I thought maybe a vehicle was driving up the logging road to the base camp and those were headlights. Nothing. But yet the light would be flashing at the top of the trees for 8 years. Matter of fact, in the audio recordings that I have on SoundCloud.com, Team Squatch in USA, you'll hear John Carlson ask me if I had a light on because he saw the lights flash at the top of the trees. Well, the next night, this is night number 3 now. The first 2 nights, they're blown away by all the Sasquatch activity I have going on the perimeter at SOA. From the 9 o'clock position to the 3 o'clock position. Visuals, audible, And so night number 3, they're away from the 12 o'clock position. They're on the other side of the Suburban, and they're nervous. They're smoking their backwoods cigars, and they're kind of nervous laughter. And then they start making their way down the logging road to the 6 o'clock position on the perimeter. And I'm a little miffed, They traveled this far to experience the Bigfoot activity, and they're on the other side of the Suburban staying away from where all the activity is. So I'm like, guys, you need to come up here. And they're like, all of a sudden yell my name, Matt, come here. And I'm like, you guys come here. The activity is up here. Matt, come here. You come up here. Come here. So finally I walked around the Suburban, and there was the portal on the road at the 6 o'clock position. And they're going, what is that? And I'm going, I don't know.
What it look like?
It looked, if you have seen Stargate, the big round, look into another world type thing, but without the physical structure to hold the portal.
Like water?
Whatever they had, concrete pillars or whatever they use in the TV show for the portal, it didn't have that. It was just in the middle of the logging road. There's water on the ground. There was always water there for 8 years, and I never knew why. It'd be 100 degrees during the summer, and the water was always there. So anyway, you could see into this portal, I don't know, 12, 15 feet round circle, and it was dark vegetation and a red sky. It was a totally different world. And they're going, what is that? And I go, I don't know. I've never seen that before. And then there were 2 about 3 foot tall guardians with glowing red eyes that were keeping us from going into it. And we're being a little assertive to keep Adam and John away from it, because they were kind of poking and prodding. And this sounds weird, but this is the truth. If you turned a flashlight onto the portal, it shut down. And then when they walked closer to it, it started opening up again. And then they turned a flashlight on it and shut it down. And then they walked closer to it, and it started opening up again. So they were like 2 little kids with a garage door opener, like open, close, open, close. And they were starting to piss off the little guardians.
Well, obviously, they don't just let anybody see this. Was there a reason that they were actually allowing you guys to see this?
There was a reason, which I learned about later. I had no idea then. Okay. And the reason that I learned about later was it took me a year of problem solving, but eventually I figured out how to reopen that portal. And I reopened it over the next summer several times in front of 10 witnesses. And the way, it took a year to figure it out. What happened was I would always take my guests off the mountain during the day to see some tourist sites. That way we're not just sitting up on the mountain the whole time picking our nose during the day when no activity is going on and it's hot. So I would always take my guests to the Oregon House of Mystery, or the Oregon Vortex, which had a big electromagnetic vortex. And we would come back to the SOA base camp, and I didn't know it, but we had residual electromagnetic energy on our bodies. So once I figured that out a year later, I had a group of people with me, and I said, hey guys, I want to do an experiment. Do you trust me? And they go, sure. So I took them to the Oregon Vortex, got them all juiced up. We came back, and then that night we walked down toward the portal area where the water is on the ground, and it opened up. Every time we went, it opened up. And so, people accuse me of not using science. Well, science is being able to replicate things and getting the same results.
Right.
And I was using science, and we were replicating it, and we were getting results, and we had multiple witnesses documenting the fact that we were getting results.
Science is just what's accepted at the moment.
Well, we have to realize that our science, you know, as a human race, we're little infants in the universe. And our science is one grain of sand. The knowledge that we have right now is one grain of sand on the beach. There's more out there that we don't know about. And we always want to go science, science, science. Well, we're little infants. We're doing the best we can, but there's a whole lot we don't know. And there's a whole lot that what we do know with our model of science isn't going to explain anything because we're infants. And it's really arrogant to think that science proves everything. No, it doesn't. We're just crawling out of the crib as far as science. But I replicated it, and we reopened that portal numerous times. As a matter of fact, I even went on to have half the group a couple months later jump in the river during one of our trips off the mountain and swim, and have the other half not do that. And then I had at night in the pitch dark, the group that swam in the river, go down and see if you can open the portal. They couldn't open it. And then the group that was still juiced up that didn't go swimming went down, and they opened the portal. So don't tell me I didn't use science.
Were you able to get any pictures or video of this?
No, because the light was very, very faint as far as getting in there. And no, what we do have is just audio recorded of the experience and multiple testimonies.
Well, what else we got? Let's go to the next.
What's the next one?
These recordings. We got about 5 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
Yeah. What's the next one say?
Run at look at that with Matt.
Okay, so Cynthia and I are doing a night sit last summer, 2019. We're at the campfire pit area on our property, and we decide that we're done. We're talking, interacting, playing music, and so now we're going to take a little break, go into the house, use the restroom, grab our pillows, and come back outside and climb in our sleeping bags on our cots and go to sleep. We camp out in our backyard, which is like a forest. And so we're walking to the house, and keep in mind I'm recording all night long with a parabolic microphone dish. And as we're nearing the house, you hear one of the Jeanu go, "Look at that with Matt. Who's that? Look." Now, they're not talking about Cynthia. They know who Cynthia is. "Look at that with Matt. Who's that? Look."
Okay.
So look at that with Matt. Who's that? Look.
I can hear that.
Okay.
You had to tell me that's what it was, but
right.
Once you told me that's what it was, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Yep. Oh. So who they were referring to was Ilya. And, you know, who's Ilya? Well, it turns out Ilya is a spirit who's been following me around during this lifetime, who apparently we had a relationship in a previous lifetime. And she's kind of breaking the rules and hanging out with me. And we had moved away from Puyallup to Chehalis, and it took her, and they kind of phase in and out of our time frame. And it took her, she remembered saying we were moving to Chehalis, Washington, and she was gone when we moved. We invited her to come with us. She didn't. It took her about a year to find us. And that's who they're referring to. And we have her recorded, and I don't have these with you, in our previous bathroom saying, "Praise him, bless you, God is great," you know, talking in all this very nice, positive, uplifting language.
Well, now, fantastic. I think it's all fantastic myself. Well, we're going to take a 5-minute break, bathroom, grab something to drink, whatever, and we will be right back. Daniela, you got some music you want to play? I'll play something when I come back.
Okay.
Dr. J, 5 minutes. We'll be right back.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right. Daniela didn't play y'all any music. I'll play some. Yeah, I'm early. But let's see. Dr. J's back. Daniela can add herself back. You're muted there, Doc. Just so you know. Really appreciate all of you guys. Appreciate our new moderators. Appreciate everybody being able to. I mean, obviously, we all have our own opinions. You guys have your opinions. You're free to them. Just being respectful. We definitely appreciate you guys. Thank you. Daniela should be back here in just a second, Doc. Can't hear you. You got your mic? Your mic might be. There she is.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. Did we swap places? You leave
Why have
completely?
we done that? That's weird, isn't it? Do you feel uncomfortable?
I do.
Okay. I can't hear you now. You've lost your... There we go.
Better.
It's better.
My poor cat. She's so unloved. She's just meowing away at the door, breaking my. I don't even like cats that much, but it's something about this one. She just won't stop. So if you hear that, she's not being tortured or anything. She just wants some attention.
You muted yourself.
Yep, you're muted, Doc.
Your mic isn't connected, it's saying. Maybe you've pulled it out or something.
Look on the bottom of your screen, your little mute button. See if that's out.
It's not that, Kerry, because when I press it, it says the mic's not connected.
Yeah, about now.
Yeah, okay. He had himself muted. That's all it was.
You got me now?
You got you.
Yay!
We're back.
Okay.
We're back at it with Dr. Matthew Johnson. Incredibly enlightening discussion so far. And we're going to get into.
And can I read that one paragraph?
Yes, that's what I was going to ask you to do. Would you mind reading that for us, please, and tell us what it is first?
Okay, for your viewers, this is my second Bigfoot book. The first one is Bigfoot, and you can find both of them at Jeanu.com.
We'll have links in the description for those.
So in the back of my book, I have 30 testimonials of people who've been out to SOA, Soya, and on our property. 30 people from all walks of life. The gentleman who wrote the foreword for the book, Dr. Dan Riley, is a psychiatrist. He's been out there. This particular testimonial in the back of the book was written by Paul Glover of England. Okay? Mm-hmm. It reads as follows. Dr. Matthew A. Johnson is crazy, delusional, a hoaxer, and a liar. He is making all of this up in order to gain publicity. Back in 2015, that's 5 years ago, that is the conclusion that I had come to. On his Team Squatching USA Facebook group, I had, like many other people, questioned his integrity publicly. I was subsequently kicked out of his group. The stories coming from SOA were just too far-fetched for me to accept as being true. Yet, I had noticed that Adam Davies had remained silent for a long period of time before coming clean. Almost 1 year after Adam visited SOA, he finally admitted that there were some strange incidents that did actually take place there. His admission backed up Matt's claims, although with different opinions. Listening to the podcast of Banal of America on the 4th of October of 2015 left me very, very confused. This whole Bigfoot theory had now been turned on its head, and if we're going to progress with the subject, we should all have a bit more of an open mind. He goes on to talk about his Jeanu experiences over in the United Kingdom.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
So how did he have this experience over there? Did he ask for it?
The Jeanu are all over the world. The Jeanu exists on every habitable continent, with the exception, obviously, of Antarctica, the 7th continent. There's no trees there. And so there's lots of people that I know in the UK who are having Jeanu experiences.
Okay. So when you say Jeanu, you're referring to the Sasquatch, Bigfoot creature.
Bigfoot forest people, yeah. They refer to themselves as the Jeanu.
I got you.
They are one people. And when I say the Council of 12, 2 members from each habitable continent are a part of the Council of 12. So 6 habitable continents, the Council of 12, and Zorth was their elected leader of the Council of 12.
Well, I was going to ask you, I'm sorry, Danielle, if you had something, I just want to ask this right quick. these creatures are seen all over the lower 48, from Florida to Four Corners and everywhere in between. Are these creatures connected somehow? Do they all know these same languages, or is there
one people.
separation?
They're one people.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but
Sure.
like the Native Americans, you know, they weren't connected anyhow. You know, there's
Correct.
80 different tribes, 400 offshoots. They all spoke different languages. They all had
Right.
different things that they did because they weren't connected to one another. So are all these creatures like that, or are they the same, is what I'm asking.
Just as the human race varies around the planet in looks and features, the Jeanu do as well, but they're one people, and they're all connected telepathically. What one knows, they all know. What one feels, they all feel. So it's kind of like the collective hive in the Star Trek episode of the Borg.
Right.
Around in those cubes, right? They're all connected. They're one. But in the Star Trek episodes, they're mindless minions all connected to the Queen Bee, right? The Jeanu aren't mindless minions. They're all independent lives, yet they're all connected. What one knows, they all know. What one feels, they all feel. And unlike the human race, they never fell in the Garden of Eden, which is why they're still connected. Yet we did. We told God to kiss off, told God where to stick it, bit the apple, fell, and we're all disconnected, which is why we have robbery, rape, crime, murder, wars, because we're all disconnected.
Okay. I can accept that.
Do you want to, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
My mic feels a bit weird. Do you want to finish off the audio?
Yeah. So the next one you have is Saria.
Yeah.
Starts off with Agathos.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, so the background for this is, so on the way to the house, you hear, look at that with Matt, who's that? Look. Now we're inside the house. And while we're inside the house, Saria, the wife of Kantu, they're the clan leaders on our property. There's 8 families there. Saria approaches the parabolic microphone dish after hearing Cynthia and I talk. And Cynthia and I were experiencing some frustrations of dealing with trolls and haters, plus some stuff at work. And, we were just kind of bitching and moaning about some stuff's going on in our life. And so when we're inside the house, Saria approaches the parabolic microphone dish, and she says agathos, which is Greek, which stands for godly good. Agathos. You don't get any better than godly good. Agathos. And then she says in English, oh, come, you should be positive about living with us. This audio, going to blow your mind. Agathos, which is Greek. Then she speaks in English, oh, come, you should be positive about living with us.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll play that again. What's the pop there? What are you putting the pop?
Okay,
down?
So the pop, having done audio recordings for like a lot of years, when the females talk in their high-pitched voice, it's almost like a jet breaking the sonic barrier, the sound barrier, and you hear the boom with the jet. When the high-pitched sound is talking, it's almost like they're breaking their own little sound barrier. You never get that with the adult males. You only get it with the females talking in a higher-pitched female voice.
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Should we go to the next one? Don't forget to bring Mihal.
Okay, so now we're sleeping in our cots, and they're kind of, going away from us now. It's probably about 3 a.m. And as Saria and Kantu are leaving us, going away, Saria melodically sings, "Don't forget to bring Mihal." Mihal is Celtic or Celtic for Michael.
Okay.
And Michael is an individual that I eventually brought to our property as a result of her saying, "Don't forget to bring Mihal."
Michael, that's my name.
And there's that sonic boom again with the high-pitched voice.
Mm.
So she has a beautiful voice, by the way, when she was singing that. Almost
Sounds like it.
angelic.
Now,
Yeah.
do you think that people have recorded things like this and maybe mistaken it for an EVP? Maybe they were out doing something else, ghost hunting. They get one of these voices, because it doesn't sound much different to me.
Okay.
I've heard some what people have claimed to be EVPs sound pretty much like this.
Well, but you need to understand this is an EVP.
Okay.
Okay, so the level that the plane they exist on, they vibrate at a higher frequency than we do, which takes them outside of our visual field of range. Okay, so as you and I were talking about before the show started, okay, that means that we can't see them with our naked eye. Cats can see them, dogs can see them, because the rods and cones are different in their eyes. And sometimes people will see their dog or their cat staring at something, and you're going, "What are you looking at?" Right? And so they can see them, and cameras can capture them. And when the cameras do capture them, more often than not, the photos are blurry. You can see the image there, but the photos are blurry because of their higher vibrational frequency, which is why we have so many blurry photos of Bigfoot. Okay. Now, in a similar way, unless physically, if they intentionally slow down their vibrational frequency, then we're going to get clear photos or clear videos like Patterson and Gimlin got with Patty at Bluff Creek. She intentionally slowed down her vibrational frequency so they could get her on film to get all of us coming into the forest looking for them to eventually help assist them with the Exodus. With the audio, same thing. Their audio exists outside of our range of hearing. Unless they intentionally slow down the vibrational frequency, then we can hear them. But a lot of the recordings, we'll get with them, and they're there with us. I can see their shimmering images. I can't hear the audio that they're saying, but I can when I listen to the recording later on. So technically, sometimes it is an EVP, like a ghost. So
Okay.
then the difference is, how do you know it's a ghost versus a Jeanu? And you have to look at the surrounding evidence to be able to conclude one way or another. If you have foot tracks, tree knocks, and other things that accompany the forest people or the Jeanu, obviously the EVP is a Jeanu.
Right. And obviously with a spirit, there's no physical voice box vibrating and making these noises or whatever, however they do it. I don't know. But obviously with these creatures, they're actually speaking. It's just a higher frequency that we can't hear with our ears. Is what I'm getting.
So if they hadn't captured Patty, how would this have started then? Are you saying she initiated, or she was maybe a chosen one to have been captured to create this?
Yeah, to be captured on video, not captured, but yeah, on video. Yeah.
Captured on video.
Yeah. The Council of 12 had her do that.
So they must have known that they were coming, that those guys were coming with the video camera. So do they know everything that we're going to do then? Do they know?
They have the ability in a limited manner to see into the future.
Okay. When you say knocks, how do we know it's them knocking? And what is the knocking about?
Well, actually, we call it tree knocking, right? but it's really not tree knocking. They don't take sticks and whack trees like we think they do. They actually pop the trees from the inside out.
And
okay.
how are they doing that?
Well, okay. So we're kind of jumping all over the place, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But
Didn't mean to.
Just be patient.
Yeah.
So back during the night before the Exodus, okay, Mike, Steve, and myself were asked to come up to the top of an adjacent hill with a 300-foot elevation above our base camp and to sit before the Council of 12. Well, we thought we were going to see 12 Squatches walk in and, sit before the Council of 12. Well, we're waiting and we're waiting. And the trees across the valley, keep in mind, we're way up in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. The trees across the valley, several miles away from us, are lighting up like Christmas lights, Christmas trees. And we're like, whoa, do you see that? Yeah, we see that. So eventually, Zor starts mind speaking with me, and he says, count the trees in front of you. Well, we're sitting in the pitch dark of night, so I'm trying the best with my vision, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Count again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then he tells me, we're in the trees. And then he goes on to say, we are orbs. We are a spirit form. And we can shapeshift into our pre-given physical form that God gave us in the Garden of Eden. During the day, we go into the trees and we take in all the energy from the sun and the nutrients from the roots in the ground. And that's how they survive from day to day. They're not out there competing with black bears and wolves and coyotes and cougars for a food supply. They get the majority of their sustenance from the sun in the trees during the daylight and the minerals, etc., through the roots. And then they pop out of the trees at night into their physical form. Or they'll pop out and stay in their orb form. So that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Okay.
Can we finish up our audios?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's go back to that.
Sorry, I got off track there.
What's the next one?
Traycon saying human.
Okay. Oh, I love this. Okay, so one of the things I learned from Zorth is that there's the Bigfoot or Jeanu, and then there's the Traycon, and they're not the same. Bigfoot and Traycon are not the same. Traycon looks similar to Bigfoot. Traycon are a little shorter. They're 6 to 8 feet in height. Some get up to 9 feet tall. They're more menacing looking, ugly, and they hate humans. The Traycon were brought over to the Earth a long time ago before humans were ever here by another alien race on UFOs and to mine the Earth. Once they got everything they wanted, they left the Traycon behind. Historically, humans had some skirmishes with the Traycon. You hear Vikings coming over to North America and battling the tall, hairy people. And we kicked Traycon butt because we had weapons and they didn't. So they retreated, and as the human race progressed, into the wilderness far away from humanity. If a hunter, a lone hiker, campers stumble into their area deep out in the wilderness, the Traycon will kill the human, eat the human, scatter their bones. The Traycon have no love lost for humanity at all because of history. So at Soya, we were up there, and I had a friend, a gentleman who snored 4 nights in a row all night long. I got back from camp. I did not want to listen to that audio. I did not want to listen to 4 more nights of snoring. So I put it off for a year. Well, then this guy's coming back, and I forced myself to listen to the audio because I knew he was going to ask about it. So I listened to it, and on our last night, we hear this vocal, and everyone's kind of talking about it. And then I asked Zorth later, was that a Tracon? And he goes, yeah, that was a Tracon. I said, what's a Tracon doing at Soya? He said, we moved out of here. We moved our Council of 12 headquarters out of here because the government was intruding. The park rangers at the Oregon Caves were intruding upon the area. And we noticed the last year we were there, we were starting to see lots of park ranger vehicles on our road hanging out when we were in the area. And so they said, we moved, but we knew you were coming back. So we were here to protect you, but the Tracon are in the area. And the Tracon tore down the large X that the Jeanu had erected. And the big X's out there are signs of the Jeanu. That's them marking their turf, that they're there. So anyway, to make a long story short, you're going to hear a Tracon do a whoo and then go human. And when he says human, you're going to hear all the hatred and disdain, and I want to rip your heart out of your chest and eat it in front of you before you hit the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that's a Tracon. And Kerry, if you're going to be afraid of something in the woods, be afraid of the Tracon, not the Jeanu.
Well, I've had an experience. I've had an experience with one of these creatures, and it was talking to me. It was definitely scaring the ever living out of me. But it wasn't a language I understood. You know, it might have been some Native American language, but it was like slow. Like it was trying to talk to me slow where I would understand, is what it felt like. But he's 80 feet away. I looked at him for 30 seconds, you know, and it's while we do this. I know these creatures exist. I've seen one. Is that what I experienced?
No, if that was a Tracon, you wouldn't be alive to tell this story. You'd be dead.
I had them around me for 7 years. I just didn't know what was going on until I saw it and looked back on everything else.
Yeah, that's Jeanu. And Jeanu are not dangerous because if they were, you wouldn't be telling this story. You would be dead. And that's what led to me going up to SOA by myself after 13 years. Okay, 10 old school, 3 habituation. After 13 years, I did the math in my head, crunched the numbers, and had to conclude they're not dangerous. Because if they were, I'd be dead a bazillion times over. So I started going up by myself, nobody else, and they still didn't kill me, and learned a lot.
Well, there's no way that this creature did not know that it was scaring me to death. It had to know that. If it had any sense at all, it had to know it was scaring me to death. It was angry. That's how it came across. This creature was angry with me.
Were you out there hunting with a gun?
Yeah, I'd been hunting out there for 7 years, though. Why didn't they do it?
That's why.
Then?
That's why.
7 years they didn't do it then.
Go out there without your gun. Go out there without the intent to hunt or kill. Go out there with the intent to say hello and to show that you're not afraid and that you want to reach out to them, and you're going to have a whole different experience. I guarantee you.
Why do you think they waited so long? Because I had killed so many deer out there.
They're a patient people.
Okay.
They're a patient people.
There's so many people out there looking. Why aren't they? I mean, I've spoke to some other people who are experiencing what you're experiencing. 3 other people actually who are having mind-boggling experiences, just like you describe, seeing the shimmering and everything. Why is it not happening to other people that are out there looking for it with good intent, not going out with a gun, but going out with a camera, say, or an audio recorder?
So Zorth told me there's criteria 3. Number 1, if a kind person with a good heart and an open mind reaches out to us, we'll reach back to them. But it takes time and patience. Okay. When you take, it took 16 years for the Exodus to happen. First 10 old school, next 6 habituation. Out of those 16 years, when you add up all the days and nights I was out in the forest, I was out there for 4 years. Add up all those days, I was out there for 4 years with boots on the ground. When I was at SOA, I gifted for 5 years before they started taking my food. They're not in a hurry. And some people, well, I've been out there, blah, blah, blah. They could be a very kind person with a good heart, but lack the open mind. And if you're a kind person with a good heart, but your mind is closed, you're not going to get results. Or if you go out there afraid, and they don't want you to be afraid, unless they don't like what you're doing in their home, then they'll scare you out, but they won't kill you. They won't hurt you. They'll intimidate you to get you out of their home, just like you would if you had a stranger in your home who you didn't want in your home. You'd get them out of your home, but they never hurt you or kill you. And but some people, I've been out there forever and I'm a good person. You know, I'm a kind person with a good heart. Well, yeah, but you've also maybe not open-minded or afraid. And truly, they don't want us to be afraid. And here's another little hint. You don't have to go out into the wilderness to find them. Zor said we're in the trees, and the trees are everywhere. They could be in your backyard. They could be in the city park in your town. They could be in Central Park in New York City. We're in the trees, and the trees are everywhere. But they're not in every tree.
So when you say they put the X up to mark the territory, what is their territory? What do they need territory if they can go into another form?
The X is there, right, for us to know they're there. The X is there for, in particular parts of the world, for the Tracon to know they're there. The Jeanu don't like Tracon, and the Tracon stay away from the Jeanu. The X is also there to let the Xiko know that the Tracon are there. So when we moved into our home, Zor said, when you find your home, I'll have a family there waiting for you. They erected X's all over our property. All over our property after we moved in. After we moved in. To make it real clear to Tracon and to Xiko, stay away. What's the next audio?
It's CIA, Trump, bad boy.
Okay. So, this is funny. So I'm listening to the audio and I come across, you know, they've been telling me avoid being political in my Facebook posts. And, you know, we all have our passions politically, what we favor. And I would state mine. I happen to be a fan of Trump and voted him in, and I'm going to vote for him again. And they're saying, stop it. Stop posting that stuff on Facebook. So when I post it, I would delete it. And then eventually a month or two later, I'd post some more and they'd go, stop it, delete it. So I'd delete it. Well, eventually, I think they gave up on me. And with the crap that's going on behind the scenes politically right now with people who believe and some don't, but there's a real battle going on behind the scenes with white hats and black hats and good versus evil. They decided to start taking a stand after all. And so recording at my home, I recorded them saying Trump, bad boy, but not bad boy as in bad boy as in bad, as in badass, as in awesome.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Trump, bad boy. Trump, bad boy. Try one more time.
I'm hearing something completely different.
Okay.
Yeah,
What are
that's
you hearing?
what it is. I don't know.
Okay.
I hear Trump. I hear Trump, but whatever's
Yeah.
after it, it sounds like it doesn't sound like bad boy. It sounds like, I don't know. I can't.
Then after that, after Trump, bad boy, okay, comes the next one that you should have, which says, I like that president. And then another one responds, I love him.
Okay. That's what it sounds like, yeah.
I like that president. I love him.
Mm.
Okay, and then we should have one audio left, right?
I've got 3 left.
Oh, what do you have? What's the next one?
Well, the next one was check the roof.
Okay, so that one is the Xiko are now in the area. Cynthia and I are sleeping out in the yard. This is the middle of the night. We're sound asleep, and you kind of hear some vocals going on, kind of hard to understand. I cleaned it up later. You'll hear it in the next or the last one. But then you hear one of the Jeanu say, check the roof. Okay, and that's the roof of the pump house nearby.
I heard that.
Mm.
So you need to understand, as a result of the Exodus, I have a guardian for life. And when we're having groups come to our property for the summer weekend events for Camp Jeanu, we have Jeanu all over the place. But even when Cynthia and I are out there sleeping, we're surrounded by Jeanu to keep the Xiko away. And the Xiko are fallen demons. They're fallen angels or demons. And they're not happy with us because we helped the Jeanu with the Exodus. And they hate the Jeanu because the Jeanu believe in God, the Jeanu believe in Christ. The Jeanu never fell in the Garden of Eden. And so the Xiko hate us for helping the God-fearing, God-believing Jeanu. And the whole goal of the Jeanu is to try to reach out to humanity to help us reconnect with God, reconnect with our neighbor, and reconnect with the world God gave us to be good stewards of. That's what they desire to do.
That's the as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. My only question is, why the slow drip? You know, especially with what's going on in the world right now, we could use a lot of that. Why don't they just, hey, this is the way it is?
Well, Jesus slow dripped for 3 years with some pretty obvious circumstantial evidence to conclude if you can walk on water, turn water into wine, heal the sick, cause the blind to see, help the deaf to hear, cure leprosy, and raise the dead, maybe you're who you say you are. And in spite of all those things that took place in front of everybody's eyes, they still nailed his butt to the cross and killed him.
Sure.
So there's a slow drip for a reason.
Fair enough.
What's the next one?
Podos.
Oh, okay. This is a cute one. This is one of the Jeanu females. We acquired a new dog in the last 6 months. His name is Oma. He's a Alaska Malamute. And this is kind of a little side story. I'll make it short. So we brought him home. He ran away. He was a rescue dog. He ran away. And, you know, we have 32 homes on the mountainside, a former logging area with everything growing back up with 32 homes. And we put out flyers, help us find our dog. And there were Oma sightings all over the subdivision. Well, Cynthia and I went out to do a night sit. Well, actually, we didn't. We were in the house, and I got a mind speak. If you come out and do a night sit with us, play some music, talk with us, hang out with us, we'll bring you your dog. You go, okay, good deal. I'll do that. So we went out, did a night sit, talked with them, played music, and no dog. What the heck? No dog. You know, I did what you asked me to do, no dog, right? So we go to bed. Well, then we slept through our alarms, or they just didn't work. And at 8 a.m., we got a phone call, and it was the neighbor one driveway down said, your dog's on our property right now. If you come over, you can get him. And out of all the 32 homes in the subdivision, his property, one driveway down, was the only property completely fenced with a gate. So we went there, closed the gate, and we got our dog. So now 6 months later, we're out doing a night sit. Cynthia and I are sleeping, recording all night long. And you hear one of the young Jeanu children calling for Oma, but their name for a dog is Pudis.
Okay.
Pudis. And you hear Oma come to the child who called him, Pudis.
Okay.
One more.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So now we have one left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for all you haters and trolls out there who think I'm crazy and a nutsack, I am playing this for you to honor your hatred and your negativity toward me and everything I'm saying and doing. This is a recording of the Xiko on my property saying, did you bring the support? And then the other one responds, Matt's a nutsack. Okay. This is for you guys.
Play it again.
That's what I hear.
So Matt's a nutsack. That's for you guys.
You know, I don't think anybody hates you, Doc. You have to admit some of this stuff is hard for the average person, I guess, especially that doesn't look into the subject, to grasp a hold of. It just is.
Correct.
So again,
to be fair to those people, Kerry, to be fair to those people, I was them for the first 10 years.
Sure.
I was old school, all about the technology, the science, and maintaining a good reputation, because it's hard to bring the scientists in to believe what we're doing. And I, online, when we had email listservs before Facebook, I would boom, 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 shoot all these people down who talked about paranormal crap, orbs and all that stuff, mind speak. I shot them down. And much like Paul Glover apologized in my book, I had to apologize to them for being the guy for 10 years who shot them down. So I used to be them.
Well, you know, you just mentioned your books. What I want to do is make sure the people know exactly what your books are. I've got them right here. Yep, the Jeanu.
That's my second book, the Jeanu, Befriending the Bigfoot Forest People. And it's over 500 pages and has 30 witness testimonials in the back of the book. Okay. That's my first book, Bigfoot, A 50-Year Journey Come Full Circle. And that is my story and how it all came out, including the Exodus. So that is up to the Exodus. And then the Jeanu is since the Exodus. And they can find both of these books at Jeanu.com, XANUE.com, and click on products.
We will have links in the description.
Put those
or
links in.
whatever, if anybody is interested in purchasing those books. Now, you recommend people read those books for a better, fuller understanding of exactly what's going on up there, correct? I mean, we can only do so much here in a 2-hour show.
Correct. I get criticized by a lot of people. Where's the evidence? Blah, blah, blah. Well, the bottom line is the people who criticize me don't do their homework. They don't take the time to watch the 350 plus videos, probably closer to 375 now, on my YouTube channel, Team Squatching USA. And if they really wanted to know the truth, if the truth mattered, they'd stop sniping me and just go to my YouTube channel, scroll down, Keith Leiser, to the very bottom. That's an inside joke with a friend. Scroll down to the very bottom and start with my oldest video, which has Gunnar Monson from Sasquatch Coffee there, and work your way up to my newest video. You'd watch all the videos, and then you would read the 2 books, and if you still want to snipe me, go for it. But I've had a bazillion people over the last several years come back to me and apologize to me because they actually took the time to look over the evidence, couldn't refute it, or they started having their own experiences, which, are in my book and my videos, and said, I can't deny it anymore. And I've had a lot of people say, your books and your videos help tie up all the loose ends. All the questions I've had, they're answered.
Yeah, it does explain a lot. And, we say this here on the show all the time, or at least I do. I'm always regurgitating the same thing over and over again. Anybody that watches the show knows this, that belief is a very powerful inception. It just is. And this all comes down to trust. Trusting the person you're getting the information from is factual. And they've got to get to know you in order to trust you. So how do you feel? I mean, obviously you bring people out there. Do you have a particular criteria for bringing someone out to the places to experience this?
Yes. Kind person, good heart, open mind.
I'd love to go.
Well, okay, but you need to understand that the Jeanu shut down Soya. I'm not going up there with the Tracon. Okay? They have moved their headquarters around where I live now. Okay? And our property has just as much, if not more, activity on our property than we ever had at SOA or Soya, which is why we host the weekend events at our property during the summer, June, July, and August.
Okay.
And so in 20 years, when you look at SOA, Soya, and Camp Jeanu at our property, I've had over 500 people involved. So I start off at the beginning of both books. If it were just me, you could call me a liar, a hoaxer, a lunatic. But if it's me plus 500 people from all walks of life, military personnel, police officers, pastors, teachers, psychiatrists, mental health counselors, pharmacists, grandparents, hairstylists, people from all walks of life, if they're all seeing and hearing what I've seen and heard, and they have their video testimonials on my YouTube channel, and they have their written testimonials in the back of the book, and I have a psychiatrist writing the foreword for my book, you can't call all of them liars and hoaxers and crazy. Me alone, you could, but not 500 plus people.
Well, to me, you'd have to be the craziest thing would be the notion that you were trying to gain some kind of notoriety through this, because this is not exactly positive. When you're talking about 7 billion people in the world, and a literal grain of sand by comparison of those people can acknowledge any of these things. Who are you appealing to? You're not appealing to the masses.
Exactly. So if anything, I'm putting myself at risk,
right,
for doing this. I've been working in the mental health field for 38 years. I've been a licensed psychologist for 25 of those 38 years. I got accused 20 years ago when we came out about the Oregon cave sighting that I was doing it to promote my private practice. Like that was a good marketing tool. Come see me. I'm the psychologist that saw Bigfoot. Give me a break. That's great. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, you know, it's unfortunately the world we live in. Everyone has to see a motive in everyone else. When, you know, apparently it's looking inward. I think they would learn a lot more about the way they point their finger at others. That's just kind of the way I see that. I've gotten kicked in the teeth over this many times, and I have had no experience with orb or speaking. It's all been physical interaction. And I can point my finger to any part of it and say, yes, that was them that was doing this to me. I was suspicious that it was other people out there messing with me, or just I was hearing these voices 50 feet behind me. Somebody's walking down this road here. When in reality, a normal person with a cognitive, rational brain wouldn't walk down that road because you can't walk down it, you know. But I wasn't looking at these things until I saw it, and then it all started coming together. Now, it scared me out of the woods. I never went back. I still haven't gone back to hunt, and I'll never hunt again. I was one of those things I was doing on the way out, half a mile, walking out. God, please get me out of here. I'll never kill another animal. And I've held to that. I will never hunt again. I've gone back in the woods, but I've got a camera in my hand. I'm filming someone telling their story. You know, because that's what we decided to do in this subject. We figured that was our best angle, awareness. Make people aware these creatures are actually out there. But I can only tell people what I know. You know, what you know is something far beyond what I've even come close to experiencing. I've experienced some things, but I would love to come up there and experience what you're talking about. I mean, who better than me to advocate for you if I experience these things?
You are welcome to come to our property. So is Daniela. And by the way, with our summer camp events, we've had people from all over the United States come, from Canada and from the UK. So you're welcome to come. But if you'd rather do a private thing instead of a big camp thing, you can come privately, whatever floats your boat.
I definitely appreciate that. I want to experience these things, because what's a bigger endorsement is I've heard these things from other people that don't know anything about you. The same exact thing. I've got a woman that lives an hour north of me. Her name is Betty. She's 67 years old, lives by herself. They protect her. That's what she says. Kerry, I talked to her on the phone for 2 hours, several times. They talk to her continuously. And there are actually dogmen that don't talk to her, but they're there protecting her also.
Exactly. The dogmen are not evil, vicious beings that some other people out there in the field are trying to paint them out to be. They're not. And they do protect you. And there are other people with stories, which is why I've had people say, what I'm sharing ties up all the loose ends for them and makes sense. Now, what we haven't even gotten into is healing. They, by faith in God and Christ, they heal people. I should have been dead 6 years ago, but I'm not. And we had a woman, Ruth Cameron, out with us with her husband, David Cameron, last August at our Camp Jeanu. She came in, she had 3 strokes, half her body was crippled. She was hanging on to her husband everywhere they walked, and that was difficult just on the flat surface of the floor in our house, let alone the bumpy terrain outside. And by the time the last day was there, she was completely healed. She was running up and down the hill, jumping up and down, and 40 plus people witnessed that. Now, I don't guarantee a healing for everyone that comes to Camp Jeanu, but I can say confidently that people get healed. And we're talking cancer, we're talking irreversible macular degeneration, we're talking heart issues, the huge blood clot I had. People get healed. They heal people.
That's incredible. That's amazing. I had someone mentioned the placebo effect with that. I was like, you know,
no, not with
I don't know about
3
that.
strokes and not with big blood clot. You can't placebo a blood clot that went from my groin to my knee. You can't placebo that away, especially since I didn't even know they healed before that happened. I learned about that afterwards. So there's no placebo there. And there's no way you placebo a crippled body from 3 strokes. Can't happen. But you can heal it through faith in God and Christ.
No doubt. I believe that too. All that being said, I mean, I have to be honest with you. I still have trouble with these things. I'm going to have to experience it for myself. That's just all there is to it. That's just the way I am. That's the way I've always been. I don't doubt anything you're saying. I believe every single word that you're saying, that you, at least you believe it's all true. I don't think you're full of it or anything like that. Something's going on here. I would just love to experience it for myself.
You're from Mississippi, right?
I am.
You're acting like you're from Missouri, the show me state. Some people say believing is, you know, seeing. I'll believe it if I see it. I think it's more important, you know, or they say seeing is believing. I think believing is seeing. And that's where that open mind comes in.
I always say seeing is not believing. You know, seeing is knowing. Not seeing is believing. If you see it, you don't have to believe because you know. You know.
Can I propose something? Can
Absolutely.
we take another 5-minute potty break? And then can I have you spend a few minutes interviewing my wife and then maybe a few minutes interviewing Grady?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Sounds good. Let's
okay. Yeah.
All right. We'll be back in 5.
Okay. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. We'll wait for Daniela to get back here, and we'll get right back at the show.
All righty.
Well, really appreciate you doing this, coming on here for us.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
It's like I told Doc, I know you guys are on vacation, and for you to take your time out to sit here for hours with us is means a lot.
Well, Matt's very passionate about this, and it's a topic he likes sharing with people. So
That's definitely apparent. We've got a really good crowd, 312 in chat, and probably twice that watching. So it's a good show.
good. Glad to hear it. Hi, Daniela.
Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
So I'm just going to assume you're here. You're going to confirm a lot of these things, but why don't you tell us about some of your personal experiences you've had? Have you had anything just you and them that have happened to you?
Yes, it started actually a couple of months before I met Matt for the first time. And I was here in Montana, and I grew up here and coming here in the summers. So I'm very familiar with the property, and I was always the last one to go out to the bathroom facilities, which were separate from the cabin at night. And then I would turn out all the lights. And about halfway through the week, I went out there and I finished my business, turned out all the lights, stepped out on the porch, and I could hear movement next to the bathroom facility. And I could also smell like a bear had gotten into garbage or something. And that's where my mind went. I said, okay, there's a bear just like 5 feet away from me. So I quietly walked over to the cabin, and before I went inside, I stopped and turned around to look back to see if I could see anything, and I could not. So I assumed the bear had gone the other direction. And then about, I don't know, 6 weeks later, I meet Matt at our 30th high school reunion, and he's telling me about his Bigfoot experiences, and he's telling me about the odor that is sometimes associated with them. And all of a sudden, the pieces of the puzzle are coming together for me. And it's like, wow, I wonder if that's what I experienced, despite the fact I've never experienced anything like that here before. And then when he played some of the sounds that they had recorded over the years and that other people had recorded, my immediate response was, I have heard that. And again, I heard it here in Montana. So since then, I wouldn't know where to start with the experiences. One of the ones that was kind of a highlight that slapped me in the face, we had gone down a hillside at SOA, and we were climbing back out. And it was so steep that I was literally on my toes and using my hands to support myself going up the hill. And all of a sudden, I realized that right underneath me, between my two hands, was a small barefoot footprint. And we were out in the middle of nowhere. There is no way. It would have been about the size of probably a 6 or 7 year old. And I'm looking at that going, okay, they're here. And it was really fun to see that, there was a child around. And then when Matt started doing the recordings, the voices were really what kind of brought me to the next level, is hearing the recordings, hearing them talking. Even though we couldn't understand them, there was definitely a very prevalent language there. And we started hearing certain words over and over again.
Definitely not human voices that I've ever heard anyway.
Yeah. And and the recent recording of Saria, that voice is so, I don't even know the word to use, but ethereal. It's so beautiful. And that one was another one that was just kind of a wow. Some of the other really big ones that I have had on my own, driving back to the house from work one night, I was coming around a corner and I saw what I thought was a large orange, like child's ball, rolling out into the road. And there was nothing I could do to avoid it. And I saw it kind of pass under the car, and I felt my left front tire bounce. But when I looked in the rearview mirror, there was nothing behind me. And when I got home and checked under the car, there was nothing stuck in my wheel or under my car. So I don't think it was a rubber ball.
What do you think it was?
I think it was a ball of energy, and it was just their way of either kind of getting me to slow down and enjoy the scenery, or just to say hi. And I don't know, but it was not a rubber ball. There
No
was no
doubt.
pop. There was no debris. There was nothing like that. So, and then the other one was also a very, very bright orb on that same road. It was during the winter, and the wind was blowing very, very hard. And we had had snow off and on for several days. And I came around a corner, and I thought that the transformer had exploded, because there was this just very, very, very bright white light. It was so bright that I actually had to take my foot off the gas and turn my head because it was blinding me. And I kept waiting for the explosion, that noise you hear when a transformer blows.
Mhm.
And it was silent. And then the white orb started turning kind of greenish, and there were green sparks coming out of the top of it. So I said, oh, somebody was setting off fireworks or something, because the lights were not going out on the surrounding houses. And if it was a transformer that had blown, all those lights would have gone out. So I slowed way down, moved into the far lane, and drove very slowly past that driveway in case they were going to set off more fireworks. And there was nobody there. And I came around a corner just beyond that point, and I was still driving very slowly because I was still trying to figure out what was going on. And a cottonwood tree had broken off and was across the road in front of me. But because it was frozen, it had actually shattered. But when you come around the corner, it looked like the tree was there, solid. And it was only as I crept up on it, trying to see if I could fit around one end, that I realized it was little tiny pieces of debris on the road, and I could safely, slowly drive over it. And then I drove about another quarter of a mile, came around another corner, and I drove into snow and ice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the whole thing is fascinating to me. I mean, you guys experience this. I don't know how often you do, but you have to find it all just incredibly fascinating, right? Am I right?
Yes, it's not something that gets old or that you start taking for granted. Because it's so far out of the realm of anything that we were ever taught was possible or that we might experience in our lives.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. Is this so far outside of most people's natural paradigm that it's hard to force it into there. And I guess that the slow drip is a good idea. I mentioned that to Dr. Johnson earlier. When I say slow drip, I mean a 50-year. At this point, we're at over 50 years from the real, since the real big,
Right.
here we are. Obviously, they had been around, before that, and the Native Americans had plenty of experiences with them. But I guess, if you look at it, it's got to be that way. It's just because it's so hard for the rest of most of us to understand. I have a hard time with it. I can tell you that.
Yes, and I am an IT analyst by training. That's what I do professionally. And I do it because that's what I'm good at. I'm a very analytical person. So I've had a lot of trouble just accepting some of the things that have happened. And I finally had to take a couple steps back and say, stop trying to decide what it is you're seeing and just start putting the experiences kind of in my memory banks. And then when you start seeing consistent patterns over and over and over again, you start seeing the lights over and over again. We get more and more of the vocal recordings, being able to hear movement and yet never being able to see what's causing the movement. I grew up in the woods here in Montana. I know what a deer sounds like. I know what most of the critters sound like. Just accepting that what you're hearing is not just a critter. But I had to do that by just collecting the data points one at a time. And then I'm a data analyst stepping back and saying, you can't argue with this pattern.
Right.
It's too consistent.
Have you ever experienced any healing yourself?
There have been a couple of times when, after sleeping outside, I wake up and some of the aches and pains are gone. I can move around a lot easier. I have not experienced healing like we have seen other people experience, or that I know that Matt has experienced.
And have you experienced mind speak as well?
Not to the degree that Matt does, where he can get kind of more conceptual, well, actually more language, full sentences or ideas. It's more that I get impressions. Before the Exodus, before they kind of made the breakthrough and they started telling Matt more and more information, I told him, I said, there's something else going on here. They aren't just what we think we're seeing. And where did that come from? I can't tell you, but it turned out to be true. And there have been other instances where I've just gotten a strong sense that I should or shouldn't do a particular thing, and it's always worked out for the best for me. I was taking a antihistamine medication I've taken for years, and all of a sudden I just got a real strong feeling that I should put it in the closet and never take it again. And I put it in the closet and stopped taking it, and some other physical issues that I was having, headaches and some other things, went away immediately. Now, where did that come from?
Yeah,
No doubt.
interesting.
Hey, real quick, just want to shout out our moderators are doing a fantastic job. I've seen them throw a couple trolls out so far. You guys are doing fantastic. Thank you so much for what you do. We really appreciate you guys. Cynthia, we're going to come up on the pictures with Dr. J. You want to let Grady get in here for a few minutes, and then we'll wrap this thing up with Dr. J?
Yeah, Grady has decided he doesn't want to, and he's in the middle of eating his dinner. So
all right. Well,
I will pass this back to Matt.
Well, you didn't. Well, if we're not having Grady, you can stay if you'd like.
No, I'll let Matt explain the pictures.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hey, while we're waiting on Dr. Johnson to get squared away, again, thank you everybody that has donated, that's helped us out here. The last two, Miss Colleen Rivard and my good friend Todd Sears. You guys rock. Thank you all so much for that. Next, I think we're going to have a shutter out, not tomorrow, but the next day. I'm working on Ohio Grassman, so I'll be prepared for that. All right. I think Dr. Johnson's back.
Hi.
He is.
Hello.
Shall I start putting some photos up, and then we can...
Sure.
Yeah, let's start doing it.
Okay. This is a 3-foot turd left between two 27-inch tracks on the logging road on the first day we were led to Soya. Zorth told myself and another friend to walk up the road, and we did probably about a quarter of a mile, and there was this 3-foot turd between two 27-inch tracks, and the poop was still hot to the touch.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's awfully human looking, isn't it? Something off there's not. That's not a bear for sure.
Nope, not a bear.
20. And how big were the tracks again?
27-inch tracks. It was Zorth. Zorth left that for me. And I know it sounds really, oh, look at that 3-foot turd. But the bottom line is Zorth knows that I like collecting evidence, and he knows in order for people to believe me that what I'm talking about is true, I need evidence. I need foot casts. I need pictures. I need, 3-foot turds. I need audio recordings. I need to be able to take this information and show it to the world for the world to go, guy can't be faking all this stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And before we put up any of the pictures, I just want to let everybody know this. When it comes to pictures, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's as clear as it can be or as blurry or whatever. It's just, they're just here for Dr. Johnson to provide some context for us. So whether you can see it or not, These pictures are just going to tell a story. And it's that way with any picture. It doesn't matter who it is. Like I said before, it all comes down to trust. Trusting that what this person is telling you, this is what happened. This is what we captured. This is the best that we could get from this. So everyone, please keep that in mind when we put these pictures up there. Plus, this is YouTube. It's 720. You're not going to get it beautiful, crisp. This ain't going to happen. So that being said, let's start showing some pictures.
So these are foot casts from the family at SOA. That is my size 16 basketball shoe. I stand 6 feet 9 inches tall, flat-footed, 6'10" with my shoes on. So those are, and my size 16 shoes are 14 and a half inches long. So that's comparison.
Call them Bigfoot for nothing.
No, some cute little ones there as well.
Correct.
So
this is a young juvenile on our property. All these pictures that I'm going to be showing you, and that's a closer up. You can see eyes, nose, the lips at the bottom, the ear on the side of the head, the shoulders going off to the side. All these pictures, I was asked by MindSpeak to take pictures. I could see none of them with my naked eye. I looked through my pictures later and found them. And as I told you earlier, cats can see them, dogs can see them because of the rods and the cones, and cameras can capture them, but they're blurry because of the high vibrational frequency. And all these pictures were taken within 75 feet, 100 feet of our house.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of make out what you're talking about there. Yeah, there's definitely something there for sure.
Okay, this is a track, again, within 75 feet to 100 feet of our house, right near the fire pit area. This is an adolescent, a younger adolescent. That's my shoe on the right and Cynthia's shoe on the left. That's my foot next to the Daddy at SOA 22-inch track, 6 inches wide at the heel, 9 at the toes, and again, my size 16 foot next to it. And I'm not a little guy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm not a little guy either. I'm not your size. I'm about 6'5" in my boots, but I'm only about 250, maybe 260 now. So, yeah, I get that too.
So these are tracks down at the bottom of our slope property down near the wetlands.
That's a big stride, without a doubt. That's huge.
Yep.
How far is that?
There's a track down by the wetlands.
It's the same foot. I mean, you can tell this is the same foot as the other. I mean, we've obviously seen much clearer tracks than this. We know they leave tracks, but I mean, this is right by your house.
Yeah, all this is on our property.
And this is a different medium, but as you can tell, it's the same foot.
That's a different foot.
That's a different foot. Why is that darker?
It's wet.
No,
it's wet under there.
Well, it is a little damp, but also I noticed at SOA and Soya that you see all the debris on the ground, but in the track you don't see as much debris.
Mm-hmm.
It's just my theory, because Zorth hasn't actually told me, that their high vibrational frequency kind of consumes or obliterates or whatever the debris. So, you know, I don't know if it burns it up or whatever, but that's why in these tracks there's less debris than there is around the track.
I mean, because I just look at everything and I would go, why is there a dry patch in the middle? I can see clearly it's a footprint, but why has it been left
dry?
With that dry patch around the kind of ball, you know, and
I think there's probably just less weight hitting right there.
I think their energy kind of consumes some of that debris, burns it up, whatever.
Yeah. This light.
That's an orb, and you can barely see our storage shed near the fire pit. So that's an orb, and we did see that with our naked eye. We could see that, and there's kind of a face in the middle of that orb.
Okay.
It's a pretty color.
Yeah, it's an interesting color.
This is from a friend in the UK, Karen Johnson. She came across my videos and my book, and she's hooked up with Gordon Dodds. And so these pictures you're looking at right now is of a Jeanu in the UK. The dark figure in the background. There should be one more, a little closer.
I don't have a
that. So that's it, just those two. Thought I had a closer one with the dark figure, but that's okay.
You definitely see something back there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now these are orbs. So when we have our events, Camp Jeanu, we do night sits with the whole group. And behind the woodpile in Serenity Meadow, I go down there and the elders are standing behind the woodpile. And so Zorth was there and some others were there. And I could see them. And we had a gentleman with us, Maynard, and he is into photography. And I didn't know it. Well, I kind of knew it, but forgot about it, that he had a camera set behind everybody, but it was a time-lapse thing that kind of took pictures, boom, 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 like several thousand in an hour, and he took several hours worth. So anyway, his camera caught these orbs, these orange orbs. The green orb, by the way, that we saw previously, green is for the Jeanu who tend to the forest and to the animals, the wildlife. The orange orbs are leaders, and that's Zorth and Kontu and some other elders behind the woodpile.
Okay. Here.
I see that face. I see it.
There's two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and he's peeking up over the hill. In our property around the fire pit area, there's a sudden drop off, and he's peeking over the edge. And there's another one with yellow outline of eyes and nose and mouth.
That's just funny.
Then if you go back to the other one again.
Then I saw that and I started laughing. Daniela laughed. I was like, it doesn't really look much like what's actually there, but I see what he's doing. He's just trying to show you where it actually is. But it looks like a right eye there is completely closed. And the nose is, I mean, I can see what's there. That's looks like a face to me.
You can see nostrils in that nose.
Absolutely.
And the lips. Yep. Okay.
Looks like a person.
I think that's it.
Well, I had a lot more pictures, but if that's all you have.
I sent all of them. I forwarded them all to you, Daniela. Did you not get all the ones I sent?
I got, oh, hang on. Bear with me 1 second.
I might be able to go draw them out myself.
I need to just put them up in here.
You see them?
Yeah, there. Yeah, there's been something weird about downloading these, and the music is turned up in 3 different programs for some reason.
Okay, this is from Soya. That's the electromagnetic pulsating device. Steve Bachman is standing next to me, and he created that device from Tesla's design. There are 2 deep cycle marine batteries on the right. They go through the inverter in the middle, then they power the wheel. The wheel's in the middle. The wheel has 16 powerful magnets. And what it does is it creates energy, sends it back to the inverter, back to the batteries, and it keeps the batteries going forever and ever. And in addition to that cycle, it generates free energy. So that's what the Jeanu used to keep the portals open on both ends, on Earth and on their dying home world, to allow the Exodus to occur.
Okay, now this is what I was wondering about that. Okay, so before this Exodus, they were here, right?
Yes.
So how did they get here before then? And why couldn't they come other ways?
So remember how we're all wired differently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in the Jeanu population, about 25% of them are born with the ability to manipulate the portals and to go through the portals. Okay.
Okay.
They can't take anyone else with them. They can only go by themselves. A long time ago, when they noticed that their sun was beginning to burn out, the Council of 12 on their planet sent out scouts through portals that were put around the universe by an ancient alien race to go scout other planets to find a new planet for their people to move to colonize.
Okay.
What one knows, they all know. So the scouts went out, the scouts came back, and more or less like a thumb drive, downloaded all the information. And then the Council of 12 on their planet made a decision to come to the Earth. When they came to the Earth, they sent 25% roughly of their population that could manipulate the portals one at a time to colonize the Earth. And the remaining 75% were left on their dying home world. It takes a long time for a sun to burn out. So over time, their population dwindled. They first came over to our planet during our last phase of the dinosaurs.
Okay. So about 65 million years ago then.
Correct.
That's a long time.
I got another close-up of the them that trackway.
Yeah, that's from the different angle. Again, that's at the bottom slope.
See, that doesn't look like an orb in the traditional sense that you think an orb is. It looks like spread out light through the woods, like a fire maybe.
That's an orange orb behind the trees. That's one of them circled there so people can see if they're trying to figure it out. The white light at the top is the moon.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I've got.
Let me see if I can find them.
Yeah,
because there's a lot more. So if he can integrate them in, that would be great.
I will do my best. I'm not as good at this as Daniela is.
While we're buying you some time to do that, can I just make one comment that it's been my opinion over the years that we deal with thirds. 1/3 of the people that listen to me in my presentation are never going to believe. They're never going to buy into it at all. Doesn't matter what you share, what you say, how many witnesses I have to back me up, how much evidence I have. They're just not going to buy into it, not believe it. Then you're going to have a third that are sitting on the fence with one foot on both sides of the fence. And they're going to understandably have to chew on things for a while and swallow it, regurgitate it, and before they're willing to believe. And then there's the final third that just are open-minded and can't argue against all the evidence I'm providing in all the videos and the books, the information in the books and the testimonials, and they believe.
I've got some more. Just give me 1 second.
Sending these to you, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm sending them to you because I have no idea what I'm doing here. I mean, I could probably do it, but I'd rather because it's a lot of pictures. All right, I think you've got that one.
That's Saria.
There's one right here. Let me see. I just need.
I've got them, Kerry. I've got them. I'm just putting them up one by one.
That's Saria.
Okay.
Did you get them all? Or did you talk the ones that I just sent you?
Hang on. Sorry.
There's another set here. Trying to get back to the show.
That's the young one we already saw. And there's
Sorry,
another
guys.
one. You can see him standing. You can see the white area around his eyes and then the hand on the tree.
Mm.
That's Con 2 on the left side of the tree. He's holding his young one on the right side of the tree. The little dark figure, you can see his eyes, his nose, his mouth, his pointy ear on the right, on the left, if you're looking at the screen, on the side of his head. And when you look at that dark line,
do you have the one that's got?
Sorry, Kerry, go on.
When you look at the dark line on the tree,
that's about your height.
My head is about a foot below that dark line on the tree. There should be another one with kind of a comparison with arrows.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Put that comparison pic if you got it. Should be there.
Just bear with me.
This picture, by the way, was
with you.
Taken on the...
There's only about 6. Let's see, there's 337 people in the chat and about the same amount just watching. So they're all sitting there going, what are you people doing? What is all this time in between? Get it together, Bigfoot Odyssey.
I don't
Do I need to do something here, Daniela?
Yeah, I don't have the comparison one. I don't know which is the comparison one. It's in 3 different.
Let me see if I have it right here.
You see if you can find it. Send it to me in Messenger.
I got it. Here, I'm sending you this. I'm sending you this right now. It's got 15 pictures in it, and it's in there. It's some of the best stuff. So while I'm sending you that, actual size, use mail drop. You know, that could have been the problem. It might have been too big. So let me try this.
I never got the
credit tab. I want to grab.
I never got any of these, Kerry. That's why.
Oh, if I do it. Okay. Well, if I do it this way,
I've got them now. I just need to upload them. That's all. These are orbs again. Kerry, what are you doing?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't know what happened there.
I'm an idiot is what happened there. So
that's a vortex on our property. That picture is a picture.
I've got one here, but I don't know how it's going to come up. That's very strange looking. I have to say.
That's a vortex. I was asked to take a picture with Mind Speak, so I did. That's a vortex on our property. That's a house to the left, our home to the left. That's the moon up in the sky. And the energy, the magnetic energy, is swirling around.
I've got one here, Danielle. I don't know how big it's going to show up, though. You want to pull that one down? I'll put this one up.
You could just put it up and it'll go on top of it. I've got that one.
Yeah, that's a descending orb, but okay, you got to show them.
Good, because they're just they're just it's coming up too small on here. It's a different format.
Okay. So I've got that one.
What's this?
That's a descending orb in the distance. You can see it, but it only makes sense if you show them like back to back. You'll see the orb coming down lower and lower.
Okay. They just look. They've come so big.
I think I see it.
They look so. They look all the same to me.
No, there's an orb that comes down. So put the next one. The orb will be lower, and then you do the next one. The orb is lower and closer. If you have the correct pictures.
Yeah, I don't have them in the order. Oh, there now. Yeah. There you go.
There's the orb, and then there should be one of it closer.
I can't get that. The way it's been sent to me, I can't download the little. I can see it. I'll see if I can do it this way. Save image.
I probably should have had him just send them straight to you instead of me. All I did was forward them.
Here we go. Sorry about this.
Yep, the orb up close.
Yeah, yeah, we are.
And they're even closer, I guess.
Yep, there it is. Do you have the one, the close up that I sent you that I asked if you thought, what you thought about Daniela when I sent it to you on Messenger? Do you have that one? It's as clear as it gets. It's a creature. You can see his hair, his mouth's open, his teeth. I mean,
yeah, but what is
not
that?
very pretty.
What is that picture of?
I wanted to ask you about that.
Hang on.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask the good doctor here.
Well, it doesn't look like an authentic picture to me, but what do I know?
Well, that's why I wanted to get him to explain it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just a Google picture. That is not an authentic picture.
Right. Okay.
That's just a Google picture.
Okay.
trying to find, if you could keep it up there for a moment.
Oh, sorry.
That's a picture that I tracked down on Google to try to show people what a Tracon would look like.
Ah, gotcha.
Uglier, more menacing looking, with hatred in its eyes. The Jeanu, the Bigfoot forest people, are more human looking, gentle, and kind. So I was just doing some research on Google to come up with a picture that would closely demonstrate what a Tracon would look like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's an explanation for everything.
Yeah.
Now I'll say this: the one that I saw, thought it was a person. When I first saw it, I thought it was a person. The face did change some, but it was hooded nose, exaggerated features, but it wasn't a scary looking monster thing. It looked like Scottie Pippen. So it looked like just darker, much darker.
I think that's all I've got now. Have we showed them all?
That's good enough.
Okay, there was one that had it looked like the Predator people standing in it. It's all green, and it's got, looks like 3 images of people in it that are kind of
see-through.
Yeah, kind of see-through. Did you have that one?
Oh, the energy one around the woodshed?
No.
Or the
one I'm talking about, Danielle?
Yeah, but I couldn't.
Oh, that one was also not authentic.
Okay.
That one was also a research picture on Google to try to help people understand what they look like when you see their shimmering images.
Gotcha.
Well, I'll tell you not an authentic picture, just a demonstration.
We are far enough into the show. I know Daniela is tired. We're going to take some questions from the chat because we said we would. Ask you guys get your questions together for Dr. Johnson. Please be respectful. We do appreciate it. So here we go. That's all right. You do that.
I found that one.
There it is with the comparison. I looked at this for a while, and that is the same line. That, if you look at it close enough, that it matches up. So whatever that is back there is 12 feet tall or 10 feet tall.
Much bigger than me.
Yeah.
That's Con 2.
That's an 11 or so footer right there.
These are orbs, are they?
These are orbs on our property following us as we hike into the woods.
It's funny how they're all in the line right there like that.
That's that other one. That's Cynthia. She and I are doing a night sit, and we can feel a lot of energy in the area. and they said, take pictures. And I asked in my mind while I'm taking pictures, please show me a face. So if you can keep going through these energy pictures.
Well, that's the only one I've got now after that.
There's another energy picture. And then after that, there should be with the shed in the background and a partial face. There you go. And the face is to the left of the shed, eyes, nose, and mouth.
There was another one that had it a little bit better, actually. It was a little clearer. Had like a Mr. Magoo nose. But still, I mean, that's bizarre nonetheless. I mean, even if you didn't know anything about any of this and you took these pictures, you'd think that that was kind of strange to see that.
Yeah. I think that's all I've got now.
That's good. Thank you very much, Daniela. And it is like almost 3 a.m. your time.
Yeah, it's getting there. 22.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
It's been very interesting. Thank you.
We're going to take one or two questions here from the chat just because we said we would, Doc, if you don't mind. Now, just keep in mind, we're not going to ask any questions of stuff we've already covered. We're not going to get redundant here. So I appreciate you guys coming in late. If you missed out, I apologize. I'm not skipping over your questions intentionally. Okay, you got that, Daniela? Ray Dahl.
Let's do Carla's question.
Okay.
If these people came from another planet, what's the explanation?
Yeah,
we've got them up here. We got them up here on the screen, Doc. We'll get to that one. Here's one from Ray Dahl. Says, do they exist or understand linear time in the same way we do?
No. No, they don't. They understand it more along the lines of what most of us saw in the movie Arrival.
Okay.
Fair enough.
If you watch the movie Arrival, that's the way it works for them.
Okay. Makes sense. Are you getting these, Danielle? You want me to get them?
Yeah. Sandy D, how is the lifespan and what do they do with their dead?
Okay, so their lifespan is about 3 times ours. The average age is 220 years. They can live as long as 300 years, some a little bit longer than that. Some die a little earlier than 220 years, but about 3 times the average lifespan of a human. When they die, again, remember they're orbs, and they can shapeshift into their physical body and back to orb, physical body, back to orb. When they die, their physical body is gone and they're orbs and they go back to God. We, by the way, are also orbs inside of our physical bodies, but because we fell in the Garden of Eden and told God to kiss off and bit the apple, we got locked into our meat sacks. So inside of us is an orb. We're not humans having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Fair enough.
Bradley, Bigfoot carrying game animals, what gives? Lots of people see them carrying game, deer, being, associated to kills and stuff like that. If they're not eating animals, what are they doing?
Okay, so 2 things. Number 1, remember, Tracon, Sasquatch, look similar, little smaller. They eat the large animals and the mammals, and occasionally, even though they live far away from civilization, you'll even see a Tracon occasionally coming into rural properties and walking away with a sheep, a pig, etc. The Jeanu have pets sometimes, not all families do. Their pets are coyotes, cougar, and wolves. They may harvest occasionally a mammal, a large mammal, to feed their pets, but they won't eat it.
Okay. Skybird says, is it possible that you and the Sasquatch people are being manipulated and deceived by evil spirits? The mind speak may not be coming from the Sasquatch.
Good question. Good question. I have wrestled with that for years. Am I being deceived by demons? Okay. Well, first of all, that question, I like the question because it says there's something beyond us, right? It's acknowledging there's a God, right? And it's acknowledging there's demons. So it's acknowledging that there's something beyond us. That's good. But I have a lot of friends over the years who've gone out with me who are believers, who are people of faith, and all of our experiences have been positive, loving, caring, and kind. None have been evil. And they are people of faith, and they heal by faith. And if you read my book, the second book that explains the Jeanu, you'll learn more about that. But you don't want to read this book until you read my other book first, because you're not going to make sense out of this book if you don't read the other book first.
Okay. Here's Carla's question that you...
yeah, this is a good question. Okay, so they are from another planet. The explanation for the mitochondrial DNA being human, the Trachon over time have taken females or males for reproduction. If they don't have what they need in their local family group to keep everyone going, the species going, they will grab a female, mate with her, have the baby, then kill her and eat her. Or maybe pop out another baby, then kill her and eat her. And likewise, if they don't have a guy to reproduce, they'll take the man and have him reproduce and then kill him and eat him and spread the bones.
Wow.
That's where you're getting the human DNA from Trachon, not from the Jeanu.
Okay.
Wow. Here's one from Joe Dietz right here. Does the word umpteen mean anything in its name, a noun or a verb? I don't know what umpteen.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Something that Carl heard.
Oh yeah. Oh, something Carl. That's right. Carl Gocher heard something like that. I know this much, and it reminded me of something. And this is completely off topic, but it was so funny when I heard it. You said bazillion. My ex-wife was reading. This is 12 years ago. Something that said 3 Brazilian drowned, and she's like, "How many is a Brazilian?" I was like, "Oh, 3 Brazilians." I think is what happened there.
That's funny.
Strange one. Trolls, fairies, banshees, etc. I know so much is historic stories and tales passed down over time. Do you think they are real? Have you had an experience with anything other than what you're experiencing now?
The answer is there's a whole lot of mythology that most of us were taught to write off when we were growing up as fairy tales and fantasies and grim stories. But it's turning out that they're true. The dog man or werewolf. On our property, let's just say we're the positive, loving alternative to Skinwalker Ranch. Okay, so Skinwalker Ranch, not a good place to go. Our property, we got a lot of stuff going on, and it's not just all Jeanu.
Well, let's take one more.
Well,
we'll do this.
Yeah, I've got Pappy Two Bears. Dr. Johnson, are the portals two-way? Can humans go through and be lost, or can they go through and come back?
Okay, there are short portals and long portals, and in the back, toward the back of the book, there's a Q&A section with Zorth, and so we had 125 people ask 400 questions, and stuff like that's covered there. But there are short portals, long portals. The whole 411 or 411 missing persons, David Pilates. Okay, some of them are missing because they went through portals and never came back. Some of them are missing because of Trachon. Some of them are missing because of UFOs, and then some of them are missing because they just dropped dead, or because they fell off a cliff, or because there's wild animals, or because of harsh winter weather conditions. There's a lot of explanations, but portals are included in those missing person reports. But I guarantee you, the Jeanu are not included in the missing persons reports. Trachon, yes. Jeanu, no.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dr. Johnson, it's been a fantastic show. And Daniela, you've been a trooper. You stayed up a lot longer than I thought you would. Definitely.
Can I say one last thing?
Say whatever you like.
Thank you. Zorth is really adamant about the fact that the Jeanu are not involved with UFOs.
Okay.
there have been eyewitness accounts of seeing the Jeanu or Bigfoot walk off UFOs. That's not true. And it kind of pisses him off a little bit. He says, we are not involved with them. He said, that's the Tracon. The Tracon are involved with UFOs. And the way the aliens get the Tracon involved to do their dirty work, grabbing people or animals or whatever, is they bring food and drink from their home world and use it as a carrot. If you do this for us, you can have a taste of your home world. So they use that to leverage the Tracon to do their dirty business. Everybody needs to understand that fallen species like the human race are orbs locked into physical bodies. The other species that never fell in the garden, they are free to pop in orb form, go into the tree. You may eat of any tree in the garden except from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Any tree, they go into the trees, they have their sustenance, and then they pop out at night into their physical form, back and forth. That's why we were cursed to toil the soil to get our food. That's why we have to wear clothing, build shelter, is because we're locked into our meat sacks. Where they have it easy peasy because they can pop in and out of the trees, orb form, get their meal, come back out, and do what they want to do. And one last thing, if a species has to travel like we do to the moon in an artificial environment in a craft, that's a sign of a fallen species. A fallen species is locked into their meat sack, and they have to travel by craft with an artificial environment to get from A to B. Where the species that never fell, they can travel through the portals in orb form. They don't need an artificial environment.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got one more that if you know the answer to it, what if you shoot a Tracon? Can you shoot?
You can kill it. Yeah, they're locked into their physical bodies, so you can shoot and kill a Tracon.
Okay.
But
Fair enough.
you cannot shoot and kill a Jeanu. People are, they're going to go after Bigfoot. They're going to kill Bigfoot. Leave them alone. And I'm like, give me a break. You cannot kill light. Shoot light and see if that light dies. You cannot.
I never thought they were in any kind of trouble anyway, regardless.
Well, Tracon are, which is why they're hiding deep in the forest, and which is why they kill humans if they stumble across where they live. Tracon have a history of getting their butts kicked by humans. So that's why they disdain humans. That's why they'll kill humans. But the good news is they tend to hide deep in the wilderness. They're not like right on the edge of suburbia.
If the Tracons are just flesh and blood animals, why can't the government get hold of them, kill them, wipe them out?
Who says they haven't? Columbus Day storm, okay. They found some bodies. Mount St. Helens, they found some bodies.
Yep.
Okay.
Right? So they have Tracon bodies. And then you have the DNA with human DNA mixed in with it. They have Tracon bodies.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying why aren't they admitting to these creatures then if they're just a creature? Why if you can kill them?
Because they view us as a bunch of imbeciles who can't handle the truth. So they hide the truth from us.
Okay. Well, they're coming out with the UFO stuff now, aren't they? Surely.
Just starting. And some people, even when the government's come, several years ago, 3-5 years ago, the Catholic Church of the Vatican in Rome came out and said it's okay for Catholics to believe in the existence of extraterrestrial life. The very next day, the British Royal Air Force came out and said there's evidence of UFOs. That was coordinated. Now the United States government recently said something and there was no news. People hear the truth. Even I've been reading the notes, again, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Some are like, this guy's crazy. This is a bunch of crap. Others are going, well, I kind of believe him. Others are going, that's the truth. Amen. So, we're a bunch of imbeciles that can't handle the truth. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
That's probably true. But hey, it's been a fantastic show. A ton of stuff to unpack here. And would really love to have you back on just whenever you want to come on. You're welcome to come back, Dr. Johnson. Good to know that Bigfoot appears to be Republican.
Yeah, I guess so. I love that president. You two are welcome to come out to Camp Jeanu anytime.
We
Thank you.
definitely appreciate it. Daniela, thank you as always for a fantastic show. Thank you to the moderators. Congratulations to the new ones. We appreciate all the work you guys did. You did fantastic. Wonderful show. Thank you, Doctor. Tell Cynthia we appreciate her coming on as well.
Thank you.
You guys enjoy your vacation. Have a good night, everybody. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.